Hello everyone and welcome to yet another edition of Makeup and Wrestling, the weekly segment, show, whatever the fuck you want to call it, here on the GlamByGeGe channel, where I do my makeup and I talk about the newest and latest edition of AEW Dynamite. So let's just jump right into things. So our show this week began with none other than MJF and Wardlow. It was actually MJF accompanying Wardlow backstage during an interview with Dasha Gonzalez. And Dasha was asking Wardlow how he feels now that he is so close to the opportunity of becoming the AEW champion. And before Wardlow even had a chance to answer, MJF immediately interrupted him and said that if Wardlow by some freak accident becomes champion, then that would mean MJF would automatically become the AEW World Champion due to the fact that Wardlow is under contract with him. Which, honestly, y'all, I love MJF and he does a lot of low-ass things, but damn, like, you couldn't even let Wardlow have a little bit of a moment? Like, I was a little bit upset about that. But regardless of my feelings, Wardlow agreed with him because he knows what's up and who signs the checks. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Sammy Guevara walks in there all huffing and puffing, and he was holding that funny-ass oversized jacket in his hand. So, of course, not to be out-talked, MJF and Sammy start having a back and forth. And MJF starts ripping into Sammy like nobody's business. He starts talking shit about his promo skills. Like, he basically, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he basically said to the extent of, you need to work on your shit promo skills because you suck. And I was just like, oh, like, I was laughing my ass off, guys. But the funniest part of all the burns he dropped on your boy Sammy was the part where he said that Sammy looks like he sells Adderall to middle schoolers. I was dead. Like, I almost fell off my couch. Sammy didn't really get to retort much or have comebacks of his own, and all he really said was that he was going to ensure that MJF never gets to make it into the inner circle. Next, we saw MJF accompanying Wardlow to the ring for the first match of the night, which was Wardlow versus Hangman Adam Page in one of the semi-final matches for the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. So their match was pretty dope. I really enjoyed it. Hangman and Wardlow have really great chemistry, and it was an awesome match to watch. Two really big, athletic fucking dudes just going at it. It was great. Honestly, I can't wait for Wardlow to build up his character more and really go on his own, because his wrestling ability is definitely there. But once he really develops and builds up his character more, I feel like he could be literally unstoppable. Like, I fucks with Wardlow. Every time I see him wrestle, he proves that to me more and more. And I really enjoy watching Hangman Adam Page as well. He is very, very fun. I like his don't give a shit, beer drinking cowboy whole situation. That is really fun for me. And my feelings and suspicions were definitely confirmed from last week, because Hangman ended up picking up the victory against Wardlow, and he moved on to the finals of the World Title Eliminator Tournament. So all we had to see was Kenny Omega versus Rey Fenix. Well, actually it ended up being Penta versus Kenny, but put a pin in that because we're going to discuss that later in the show today. And after the match, Hangman celebrated with a beer in hand. And honestly, there is no other better way to celebrate after a match than that. Well, there's one other way that I can think of celebrating, and I'm sure y'all know what it is. Or at least those of you that know me know what I think it is. Next, we had a little promo from Jon Moxley, and your boy looked like he was chilling straight after a workout or something. He looked sweaty. He looked like he was sitting in the back of some gym, like contemplating and thinking out loud. Which most of Moxley's promos take that route as it is, so, you know, nothing new or surprising. But he talked about how hard he's worked at building up the AEW title as one of the most prestigious and sought after prizes in the wrestling business, and that he is not gonna stop doing that now. And then he said he's crushed plenty of skulls to keep it, and that Eddie better watch his neck, because he's either gonna crush his skull or his neck to continue to be the AEW World Champion. And once again, we had some really weird shots of like Eddie Kingston like praying. They didn't show the shit of him in the tub, thank God, but they had him like praying, and it looked like he might have been crying or in the rain. I don't know what they were going for, because Moxley was just in the gym, so I don't know if that's supposed to be like the cinematic Jon Moxley imagining Eddie Kingston praying or some shit. So the visuals were a little weird, but everything Moxley said was cool. And speaking of big mouth Eddie Kingston, he had a match up next against Matt Sydal, and Eddie came out to the ring accompanied by Butcher and Blade, and they had Bunny with him. And I guess the whole situation with Allie or Bunny, or whatever the fuck you want to call her, she left QT Marshall and she maxed out his credit cards or something, broke his heart. Eddie Kingston convinced her to be back with Butcher and Blade. So I don't know what that whole situation is about, and I don't really know if I give a shit. But Eddie Kingston started talking shit about Moxley and calling him a pussy for not being in the arena tonight, unlike him, who's here day in and day out, and he made some other low-key disses. And then the match happened. The match was just okay. It was a squash match. Eddie picked up the victory via submission using the Bulldog Choke, which is Moxley's current go-to, or one of his current go-to submission holds. And once the match was done, Eddie put the submission back onto Matt and really held it on there. And then Bunny walked up to the ring with a mic and she shoved it in Matt Sydal's face while Eddie was saying, "Say I quit, Mox, say I quit." And then Matt Sydal said, "I quit." Even though obviously he's not Moxley, but you know, he's trying to be threatening and send a little message. Whatever. Okay, boo. Next, we saw an interview segment between the Young Bucks and FTR. The Young Bucks were in one location with Excalibur, and FTR and Tully Blanchard were in another room, or another building, or who the heck knows where. And both teams were getting asked about their match at Full Gear, and how exactly they feel about everything. The interview mostly revolved actually around the Young Bucks, and that pissed FTR off to the point where they had to walk out of the room. But Excalibur was asking the Young Bucks about their recent behavior and all this type of stuff, and Matt did most of the talking, and he was saying that sometimes good people do bad things and that the old Young Bucks are back. Or basically that they found their drive and they have something to look forward to and to fight for nonstop. And of course, FTR reiterated that they're gonna remain and stay the champs before they ended up walking out of the interview. But the most surprising part of the whole interview segment with both teams was the announcement that the Young Bucks will, if they lose, never challenge for the AEW World Tag Titles ever again. So that is a pretty big and bold statement for the Young Bucks to have that much confidence in their abilities, in their skills, that they will become the new AEW World Tag Team Champions at Full Gear. Because, like, I wouldn't put that stipulation on myself. Like, no, I always want to have the opportunity at a title shot if I wanted to. But if they feel like this is going to push them and help them become the champions, then I guess go for it, but I wouldn't. So that really surprised me. Next, we had the highly anticipated Town Hall meeting between the Inner Circle and MJF. So the way the Town Hall meeting was set up definitely reminded me a lot of the debate between Cody and Cassidy. So the Town Hall meeting was moderated by Dasha Gonzalez and Tony Schiavone. And Tony, I didn't notice this until last night, but you need to trim your eyebrows. They were like going all over the place. It was driving me a little crazy, to be honest. I really wanted to go through the screen and just go. But that's just a personal pet peeve of mine as somebody who does eyebrows and shit like that for a living. Then we had MJF come out by himself, and Chris Jericho was accompanied by all of the Inner Circle minus Jake Hagar, who was getting ready for his MMA fight this weekend. So during this town hall meeting, there were several individuals that were able to ask questions either to the Inner Circle or MJF. And the first person to ask a question was Luchasaurus, and it was directed at MJF. And Luchasaurus began by saying that as a dinosaur who has a master's degree, he feels qualified in asking and having knowledge about certain things, unlike MJF, who doesn't have a college education, so low-key burn. But anyways, Luchasaurus' question was, what can MJF do financially for the Inner Circle as a group? And MJF said that he's gonna make a mad money, baby. And he started pulling out all these graphs and all these charts saying that he has the top analyst in the country work this out, and these are the financial predictions, and that Inner Circle and MJF equals dollar bills. Next, we had a question from Brit Baker, and this time the question was directed towards Jericho. And she started off by saying that due to the really terrible track record that MJF has with friendships amongst the AEW superstars, does Jericho feel like MJF is gonna fuck him or the Inner Circle over? Then Jericho responded by saying he is not a dipshit like Cody, which I was just like, oh shit. That's another one that really hit that night. And then he turned towards MJF and asked, well, he didn't really ask him, he told him that if MJF even thinks about doing anything like that, he will get fucked up. And MJF, you know, responded with, of course he's not gonna do it, and that all that MJF wants to do is bring championships and money to the Inner Circle. So then they had this like weird guy named Peter Avalon, which is like a total porn star stripper name. But he was just stupid and asked if he can join the Inner Circle, and of course they said no. I don't know who this guy is. He's probably like some small-time wrestler, but I mean, good for him. He got some airtime. I'm talking about him. So the next person that got a chance to ask questions was a Mr. Eric B., then a second later revealed to be the Eric Bischoff. And he had a three-part, or basically 3 questions to ask MJF and the Inner Circle. And he started off with asking MJF, what can MJF do for the Inner Circle? And MJF gave the corniest answer possible. My boy said that he's going to bring friendship to the Inner Circle. I was like, I mean, I guess, but I know you're not joining the Inner Circle just to get some friendship, my brother. We all know that. So I was just like really caught off guard. Like, we know you're faking it. Like, let's be honest. Well, the next question was directed towards Jericho and the Inner Circle. And basically Bischoff asked the opposite of that question. This time it was, what can the Inner Circle do for MJF? Before Eric asked the second question, he actually stated that MJF is the total package, so what does he really actually feel that he's going to gain from the Inner Circle? And MJF said that even though he feels like he really is the total package, that he is not much of a team player, and he wants to gain the ability to be a team player and to be able to work with others, as the Inner Circle tends to get along so well. Which, in my opinion, like, come on, MJF. You know you like being the boss. So, obviously, I don't think that was gonna work very well. And that's exactly the point that Bischoff used in his third and final question. And he started off by calling Jericho a prima donna and said that MJF is also a prima donna. So how will both of these egotistical little bitches, basically, well, he didn't say that, but that's the way I'm saying it. How are these egotistical bitches gonna get along together? So then Jericho and MJF began to go back and forth, and Jericho was saying that, you know, maybe Bischoff has a point. Like, what is gonna cause you not to backstab us in the Inner Circle and turn your back against us and fuck us over? Like, you got the same kind of big ass ego that I do. So MJF just kept reiterating that that's not gonna happen, and he became very offended and started bringing up all the wonderful things that he's done for Jericho and the Inner Circle as a team. MJF brought up all the gifts that he's gotten the team, you know, those jackets and some other things, and the friendship that he's given Jericho, and of course the Debonair segment, which according to MJF is one of Jericho's highest rated segments in his career. So then MJF was saying, so like, what else do you want from me? I've given you basically everything that I can think of. And then Jericho interrupts him and says, you haven't beaten me. And if I didn't fall off my couch at any point during that night, I fell off at this point right there. Because even though I predicted it in the very first episode of Makeup and Wrestling, I was still like, are they really gonna go there? Is this really gonna go there? And they went there. And I'm telling y'all, no other match convinced me to go ahead and purchase this pay-per-view more than this match right there, because I wasn't sure. I was a little on the fence, but that's all I needed. Jericho and MJF. Like, yes, please. I can't wait. And there we have our match now set for Full Gear. MJF versus Chris Jericho. If MJF beats Jericho, he will get to join the Inner Circle. And if he doesn't, then he's just going to get a beat down. It is what it is. So then they shook their hands in agreement and the match was set. And MJF reiterated several times that he's going to do anything it takes. And he does mean anything. Like, he repeated it several times. So then Ortiz got fucking pissed and he was like, nah, I got something to say. He grabbed the mic from Chris and he said that he's done listening to all this bullshit and that him and Sammy don't fucking like him, so next week he better get ready to fight. And we had a match set for next week's Dynamite, that being Sammy Guevara and Ortiz versus Wardlow and MJF. Honestly, I thought this was a wonderful town hall meeting and it was a great conclusion to it. And it got me definitely hyped and excited for a match that I was fantasizing about a couple of weeks ago. Now it's coming to fruition. And again, I'm going to get to see Wardlow next week, so your girl is happy. I'm kind of getting everything that I want so far in the show. Then we had a quick little promo from Taz and Team Taz. And the promo started out with clips of like a match or a couple of matches on AEW Dark. And the clips were showing Hobbs picking up victories, and Taz was talking about how talented Hobbs is and how he likes everything that he sees from him in the ring. And then Taz reiterated that Will Hobbs needs to make his mind up because he would like for him to join Team Taz. He has what it takes. He's a winner. Then immediately after that, we were shown a couple of clips from, I think, the same episode or episodes possibly of AEW Dark of Ricky Starks and Brian Cage attacking Will Hobbs, and the promo ended with them showing Taz and Starks threatening Will Hobbs that he needs to join Team Taz immediately or he's really going to get fucked up more than he already has been getting fucked up by Team Taz. And honestly, I couldn't agree more with them. Will Hobbs is a talented guy. I really enjoyed the couple of matches that I've seen him in, but he needs something more to his character and obviously to do in AEW. So joining Team Taz, I feel like, would be fitting, and he was going to be amongst two other guys, one of them being big ass Mr. Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, who's pretty good himself. So now we're going to just have to wait and see where the shit goes. Following that was the match for the TNT Championship between Cody and Orange Cassidy. Now, this match overall wasn't bad. It was pretty good. But honestly, I did feel like it was a little bit of a rehash of their initial match 2 weeks ago. Not that it wasn't exciting or that Cody and Cassidy don't have good chemistry. They do, but it really felt like a rehash. One, sort of because of the ending, and two, I felt like most of the match had the same feel, minus a couple of different spots due to the Lumberjacks being there. I would say for sure there were two memorable spots with the Lumberjacks during the match. One of them being the moment when the best friends shielded Orange Cassidy from the rest of the Lumberjacks. I think it was one of the very first times of the match where either one of the men ended up coming outside the ring, and I think this was Cassidy's first time outside the ring, and it was really cute when each one of the best friends got on either side of Cassidy and they were protecting him. Like, Trent was on one side, Chuck was on the other, and they were just like this, just holding him. It was really cute and really funny in my opinion. The other moment that I really enjoyed was when Cody Rhodes got on the top rope of the ring and he superplexed Orange Cassidy onto the Lumberjacks outside of the ring. That was really, really cool, and it was an awesome spot to see. I am so pumped that they were able to pull something like that off. So like I mentioned earlier, the last few moments of the match that led to its ending were not so great. They were kind of fishy. But basically, as with any Lumberjack match, of course the Lumberjacks outside are acting crazy and fighting with one another, so the referee decided to take a moment and get them all to try and calm down and stop acting crazy, and that's when John Silver from the Dark Order ran up in the ring and super kicked the shit out of Orange Cassidy right in the face. And of course the referee had his back turned, so he didn't get to see any of that. And once he turned around, Cody decided to go ahead and take advantage and pinned Orange Cassidy for the 1, 2, 3 and to retain his championship. And as soon as the match was over, Cody and Arn Anderson ran off with the title, and that's when all the Lumberjacks rushed in the ring and started fighting with one another. I wasn't too happy with this match. I did feel like it was a bit of a repeat of last time, and if it wasn't for the Lumberjacks, honestly, it would have been pretty boring. So I'm glad that they were there to pick up the slack, but I don't know how I feel about the ending. I definitely think that Orange Cassidy is for sure going to have to get another title shot at the TNT title, because this is 2 times in a row where he's been fucked over. And of course this is going to be after Full Gear, and we're going to see if Cody is going to remain the champion, or if for some fucking fluke of a reason Darby Allin is going to walk out the champion from the pay-per-view, which I kind of hope not. We'll keep Cody for now. Darby, stay on the sidelines. Following that, we saw a clip of the best friends walking to their locker room or somewhere backstage, and they ended up running into Kip and Miro. And Kip and Miro were saying that they want to make amends and they understand and they overreacted when their arcade machine Alan got broken and all this stuff. So they wanted to present them with a gift, and that's when Penelope walked in dressed as Orange Cassidy, because you know Halloween's this week, and she handed Kip and Miro the quote-unquote gift, and it turns out it was the control panel of Alan, the arcade machine, and they just started smacking Trent and Chuck around with the remnants of the machine. So that was pretty cute and funny. And then we had a quick announcement that Miro, I think, is gonna face Chuck? No, I think he's gonna face Trent. I'm not sure. He's gonna face one of the best friends next week on Dynamite, which I'm a little disappointed. I thought they were gonna set up some sort of match for Full Gear, or at least the Full Gear pre-show or something, but I guess, you know, like, I'll take it. At least they're trying to go and move this storyline somewhere in some direction. Next, we had a women's match between Serena Deeb and Layla Hirsch. The match was alright, but honestly, when Serena came out and they announced that she was the new NWA Women's Champion and that it was not Thunder Rosa anymore, a bitch was shook. Honestly, I was very, very disappointed to hear that, because I don't know anything about Serena, and the last time I saw her in Dynamite was about 2 or 3 weeks ago when she faced off against, I don't even fucking remember who, but she ended up fucking losing. So now she's walking in and she's saying she's the champion and she's gonna prove herself. Whatever, girl. You do you, but you're not Thunder Rosa, so you don't got my heart. I honestly hope AEW does something where they drop a little contract with Miss Thunder Rosa, or I don't know, but I miss her and I need to do some more research and find out where I could watch NWA, because like, a girl wants to see Thunder Rosa so bad. Like, I'm obsessed with her. She is amazing. Like, if you don't know about Thunder Rosa, go watch some more of her matches, because after I saw her on AEW, I just went on YouTube and started watching all these different interviews and matches, and she's great. I loves her. Come back. Come back, Thunder Rosa. Come back. We need you. This division is dying. And speaking of the women's division, next we had a backstage interview with Hikaru Shida, and she was getting asked about Nyla Rose. So it turns out that Nyla Rose has been the #1 woman ranked in the AEW women's division, and she is due for a title opportunity. But Nyla said that she wasn't going to challenge Hikaru Shida unless Hikaru Shida approached her for that challenge. And finding out this news, of course, Hikaru Shida made the match and said, "See you at Full Gear, Nyla Rose." So here we go again with Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida. So I guess me noticing the fact that they zoomed in onto Nyla Rose right after one of Shida's matches a couple of weeks ago was right on the money, because turns out she is #1 in the rankings. Now, I personally don't keep up a lot with the AEW rankings. Do you guys follow them? It's glad to see that they're honoring them, but honestly, especially when it comes to the women, lately it's just been another reason to slapdash together a quick fucking match. And when it comes to the women's division, I'm really, really disappointed. Honestly, I don't want to see a long feud or any kind of feud again between Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose. Like, I just don't. We already saw it, been there, done that. Hikaru Shida is a great wrestler, so is Nyla Rose. I don't want to see them together. I want to see something else happening with the championship and just, again, in the women's division in general. Can we get some more feuds, please? Thank you. Up next, we had yet another squash match. This time, it was between Shawn Spears and I don't even fucking remember who he was facing. Some dude. So Shawn Spears is obviously on this little heel bad boy turn, and he joined Tully Blanchard. And of course, Tully Blanchard is now his manager now that he's going through this transformation. And he won his little squash match against the person who I don't fucking remember. Ooh. But I do want to mention this, and I want to see if anybody else feels this way. Am I the only one who thinks Shawn Spears looks like a bootleg QT Marshall? Or are they the same person? Who looks like a bootleg who? I don't know. I don't know who looks like a bootleg who, but they look very much alike because honestly, I get them confused all the time. And if it wasn't for Shawn now coming out to the ring with Tully, I wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. Just like when QT comes out with a Nightmare Family, but okay, like, I don't really care. But once Shawn Spears won his little match, he went out in the crowd and he started attacking people. And of course, because it's Halloween this week, a lot of people were wearing costumes, and he punched somebody who was wearing a bull costume. Now, once this happened, and him and Tully were walking away, the bull ended up walking in the ring, and he pulled Shawn Spears back, took off his mask to reveal the fact that he is Scorpio Sky, and he beat your little boy up for a little bit. Now, that was really surprising to me, but then I remember that there have been a couple of promos in recent weeks with Shawn Spears talking about how Scorpio Sky stole everything away from him. So I guess they're going into a little program together. We're gonna see what happens, but that was kind of funny. And now it's finally time for the main event, and our main event for the night was the last semi-final qualifying match for the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. And again, this match was between Kenny Omega and Penta El Zero M. Well, like I mentioned, and I told y'all to put a pin in that earlier. Now you can take the pin out because we have gotten to that point. But anyways, so Rey Fenix got a minor injury after his match last week. Now, they didn't necessarily say that he couldn't compete, but Eddie Kingston was shown in a little backstage segment or situation talking to both of the Lucha Bros, and he was saying how Rey, since he has the injury, shouldn't exacerbate it and make it worse by going into this match, and he should just let Penta have the opportunity because Eddie is going to walk away being the AEW World Champion at Full Gear, and Penta, of course, is going to win the entire tournament and win his match. So in Eddie's mind, he wanted to fulfill his fantasy of fighting his best friend for the AEW title, which, of course, is a load of bullshit. We all know that damn well. But Rey ended up relinquishing his opportunity to Penta, and that's how we ended up with Kenny Omega versus Penta. So once again, this week we had Mr. Cocky Kenny Omega come out. This week, the intro was even funnier because Justin Roberts had a whole new set of little facts and tidbits to say about Kenny, so I was laughing my ass off. And then once again, we had the bitches with the brooms, or I should just start calling them the broom bitches. So they came out this time, and they again had their brooms, and they was sweeping, but the only addition to their outfits this week was the mask that Penta wears. They both were wearing a replica of his mask, and when Kenny came out, they took it off the masks, and again, they did the little sweepy sweep, and Kenny walked out to the ring. So again, I'm totally obsessed with this new Cocky Kenny, as I've personally coined it persona. The match itself was pretty great, of course. I mean, I expect nothing less from Penta, and I expect nothing less from Kenny. There was a lot of really fun moments. It was an extremely enjoyable match, and it was definitely worthy of being the main event because, in my opinion, it was probably the best match of the night. And then we had, of course, Kenny Omega pick up the victory, as I already called it last week. And now the two finalists of the entire tournament are Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. And I'm super excited about that. Honestly, I couldn't have picked a better duo to compete against one another in this world title eliminator tournament. I mean, we all knew what was gonna happen. There was plenty of tension between both Kenny and Hangman, like a shit ton of tension. So I'm super excited to see that come to a clash at Full Gear. It's really going to add an extra layer to this already exciting match. Personally, y'all, I'm getting extremely excited for the Full Gear pay-per-view. We have so many awesome matches to look forward to. I didn't know if they were gonna be able to pull it off because things just seemed really messy a week or two ago, but now that November 7 is almost upon us, it's wonderful to see that they were able to bring everything full circle and get the show going with a bunch of really awesome matches. So the matches that I'm currently most excited about, I would say, are Moxley versus Kingston, the I Quit match for sure. I'm definitely hyped for. Of course, MJF and Jericho. And I almost forgot about Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara in their Elite Deletion match. So I'm excited to see what that's going to entail. Is that going to be another weapons match? Is that going to be another like street fight type of match? Like, what is the Elite Deletion? What do you guys think it is? And of course, I already mentioned a couple of seconds ago that I'm very excited for Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. So based on all these facts, your girl's probably gonna buy this pay-per-view. So this week's show, I would say, is a little bit better than last week's show, but it was still average. I would say the only thing that could push it into like totally awesome direction would have been if we had one or two more better matches, but honestly, besides the Wardlow and Hangman Adam Page match and the Penta and Kenny Omega match, the rest of the matches for the night were underwhelming. I mean, we had a couple of squash matches, and if it wasn't for the town hall between MJF and the Inner Circle, in my opinion, the whole show would have completely fallen apart. So that's it for this week, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you enjoyed this episode. I personally feel like things are getting better, at least with this show. I'm kind of getting more into my groove and figuring out how to be able to do this in a better, more efficient way so I can get these weekly episodes out to you guys a lot faster. Again, I'm still working on the other content for this channel. When is it gonna come out? I am not sure, but I at least got this shit down. So thank you guys for always being so patient and supportive of me, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye! Take care!